Wide receivers always fly off the shelves. Remember, the 2025 class of receivers was lean, right? And then 8 came flying off the board in the first 2 rounds, including 4 in round 1. Early returns on the 2026 class of wideouts, is it stronger? So what's in store as we inch closer to kickoff of the college football season? Just 276 days until the NFL draft. Muench, you good?
I'm good, man.
Let's give the folks a nice summer beat. We all agreed, Stevie boy, right? This year's wide receiver. There's no wide receivers. Where are the wide receivers? Texas has only got one of them. Alabama doesn't have any stars. Where's the receivers at Georgia, Penn State? And then we get to the draft, and this class is weak. You can get some later. And 4 come off the board in round 1, right? And another 4 come off the board in round 2. So that's 8 in the first 2 rounds. I went back and looked, just because we're doing wide receivers, folks, if you haven't noticed today.
Yeah.
Muench and I have been grinding away at the wide receivers on tape, getting ready for the college football season, early preparation for the 2026 NFL draft. And so I started looking, and I'm like, all right, we talked about 8 wide receivers in the top 2 rounds. There were 11 in 2024, 8 in 2023, which also was not considered a great group, 13 in 2022, 9 in 21, and 13 in 2020. So as I started this whole thing off, I said to you, they fly off the shelves because it did not used to be the case, but wide receiver has become one of the premium positions as the league has gone to more pass happy offensive attacks, right? And I just think whether it's the 7-on-7s, the development of the passing game and earlier on in age, there are wide receivers everywhere, all throughout the country, high school up to college, and now in the NFL. And so it's been kind of a renaissance, like a gold rush of wide receivers in the past 7-8 years. This year's class, early returns, as I said, I think it's going to be a lot better than last year's group.
Interesting.
But I'm not certain.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. I want to get into it with you.
Good. That's why it was a little bit of a lead up. Muench, go ahead.
Should we mention off the top that the 27 class looms large over all this? I mean,
please do.
I mean, Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. You got Ryan Williams from Alabama. Cam Coleman from Auburn over the last 3 games of the season last year was electric.
Wingo
excited to see what he does. Wingo at Texas. I mean, that 27 class looks like it's going to be, loaded.
I agree.
Just to say that off the top, looking forward to the year after this one, let's get into it. Let's get into this group right here. Let's get into this next group.
All right. Before we do it, I want to have people are watching, man. There's like a little lull in early June, and I get it. People are like, all right, we need a little football break. We had the season, we had the draft, little football break, but now like the numbers, and I'm not obsessive about it, but I care deeply about this show. I care deeply about you and Conor and Dan and Tucker and Eduardo and Mark are behind the screen. Like, we're trying to build something here, and we're very appreciative of people tuning back in as we now, get into the Ides of July, right? And so why don't you tell them, Muench, how they can continue to support us the way they have, and honestly, impressive numbers in the summer.
Go to the McShay Show on YouTube. Hit the that's the subscribe button. Go to the McShay Show on Spotify. Hit the follow button. He's at McShay13 for all his socials. I'm at You Good Muench, Muench. And again, please consider subscribing to the McShay Report. Every time I open it, I think we're pretty thorough in these shows. And then every time I open it, there's something else in there. Again, I cannot stress this enough. You're going to get a ton from the show. It's just a nice addition, an addendum to what you're already getting. It's not a repeat of what you're already hearing.
Yeah, most recently we had the Manning Passing Academy review. There's a lot of detail in there. The Clemson
pictures,
prospects.
Yeah,
pictures, videos, all of that. And then obviously with the wide receivers, we're going to have a full breakdown. I think we've got around approximately 10 guys that we've gone through. Muench and I did most of the top prospects on tape. We kind of did we call it newsreeling in the business of the kind of like, whether you want to call it second, third tier, whatever it is, a few other guys, just so we had a little feel for them. And we're just going to kind of go through our notes here. I'm going to rank them like this.
Okay.
Fuck it, Muench.
Let's go.
Why bury the lead? Here, when I was done with my tape on the top guys, and I don't know that there's a massive gap between any of them. And I don't see a Ryan Williams or a Jeremiah Smith in this class. Okay.
No, there is a cluster of really talented guys. No one has really set themselves apart.
Second round, day 2 guys for my liking. Okay. Like 91 grades, 90 grades, 89, 88. Not like I could right now. I'll give Jeremiah Smith a 97.
Yes.
You want to play that game right now in July of 2025.
No problem.
95 and I'll sleep like a baby tonight.
Not a problem. Nope.
So now you have a kind of a feel for the class. Here, I'm gonna rip off. And I'm not like in stone. This is my guy. Nothing can happen. All that.
Early days.
And I don't, and as I finished them, I didn't see a big gap. It's not like, oh, I'm giving this guy a 95 and the other guy's a 91, 90. And then we'll come back and we'll go through
one other thing I'll add to that. I have to be careful about this because you go into film with expectations and there are some names when you go into the tape, you're expecting a certain something, a certain level when you're watching that player. And there's other names where you're like, I've heard of this guy. Well, let's see what he can do. And you're going in with more of a blank slate. And so it's easier for that player to impress you. These are all these kinds of like biases that go on that you have to be careful about. Because there's a couple guys that I watched was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. This guy's a little better than I thought. And where have you been? Kind of a deal.
I see your Perone's gourmet Italian, by the way.
Yeah,
don't think you snuck that by me.
No.
I mean, if you love sauce and like it's the summer, so maybe it's not like a heavy pasta dish, but maybe like a fra diavolo or
Yeah.
Check it out on Instagram, go on social media, go to their website, Perone's Gourmet Italian. It's our family sponsor here at the McShay Show. Okay. All right. Here's my rankings, and I want to know where you're like, I'm not so sure, and then we can dive right into the tape. Number 1, without a ton of conviction yet, but really excited to see what happens this year with the improvement. Antonio Williams, wide receiver, Clemson. Followed up by Germie Bernard, Alabama.
Really?
Yep. But don't know that there's as much upside with him as maybe some other guys. Let's say Jordyn Tyson. Saw a little Deebo Samuel in there from Arizona State, wide receiver. Carnell Tate, Ohio State.
So Tyson was 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Carnell Tate, 4. Denzel Boston, 5. I let you handle the brunt or grunt work or the grind on the USC wide receivers. But from what I've seen, I really like the Mekhi Lemon young man. But Deandre Moore, I would have in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is Tate, 5 is Boston. I'll say Moore 6 right now, but I'm interested to see what you have on Mekhi Lemon, and obviously I'll get through it. And then beyond that, I think, again, a little bit of a gap here, but I think Eric Singleton from Auburn is awfully intriguing. And some other names we'll get to today. Nick Harbor from South Carolina. Jacoby Lane, the other wide receiver from USC. And Elijah Surratt from Indiana. All right. That's the list. What jumps out at you right there?
I like the 7. I'm not going to argue with the 7. I would have them slightly in a different order. And I can't wait to get into why. These guys are pretty unique. I like that you're not going to hear a repetitive report about these players. But I have Tyson as 2. I have Bernard farther down. I have Tate farther down. I would go Williams, Tyson, Boston, Moore, and then I would go to Bernard, then I would go to Tate, who I really like. People are going to think I hate Ohio State receivers, by the way, because,
I mean, there's a trend.
I'm starting to get a rep for certain things, but I really like them a little bit farther down. But they're all, again, very close. It was like 90, 88, 88, 87, 86. Not as high. I'm not as high on the USC receivers. I see it. They're not there yet. Or I should say Lane's not there yet. Lemon is more of I think like a mid-round guy who could be a really good player in the NFL, but I'm not sure is going to ever be, an elite player. So can we talk about Tyson first?
I mean,
or do you want to talk about Williams first?
Sure. If you want to go rogue. No, let's go Tyson first then.
Here's the thing about Tyson that I was really geeked up about watching him is his route running is impressive to me. I think he's on another level. So when we go through these breakdowns and you're on PFF, they have a quick cut. They give you an idea of what routes each guy's running. And at the college level, you're going to see a lot of crossers and hitches and go routes. And these aren't very complicated routes to run. They're important routes. They're a big part of the tree and you could be productive off of them. I'm not, they are what they are. But when you look at Tyson's route tree, a lot of ins and a lot of outs. And what I love is the way he can win at the line of scrimmage, and then he can get square and vertical again, and then reset the defensive back. And then at the top of his route, make another break. He can put defensive backs in conflict. He gets them off balance. He is a really good route runner. I love the way he separates. I love the way he's after the catch. I think that he had a chance to be the clear-cut number one guy here. But the thing that scares me about him, and I'll see if you say the same thing, is the hands. Yeah, a little scary to me. And I'll say this: there are other guys that had more targets. I think Antonio Williams had fewer targets and one more drop, and we can talk about those hands too. But when I'm watching them on tape, Antonio Williams is a much more natural pass catcher.
Yeah.
So you can look at the numbers.
The stats lied on Antonio Williams' ball skills. They didn't lie on Jordyn Tyson's, and they did not lie on Deandre Moore from Texas. And we'll get to him in a little bit.
Yes.
All right. So for Tyson, while we're on Jordyn Tyson, just to kind of give a little background here, because you like to jump the gun. You're like my emotional scout. I've
been dying to talk about this.
I can tell.
Crazy.
I can tell. You put on the Perone's gourmet Italian hat. You're all fired up. It's been a week.
Get into it.
Tyson 6'1", 195. He looks 205 or something.
He does.
Right?
I agree.
He led ASU across the board last year. Remember when he went down, it was like all hands on deck because he nearly doubled up the next best wide receiver or most productive receiver for ASU. It's 75 catches, 1101 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. I think he's borderline an elite separator. And the stats actually match up with that, with 94th percentile last year in separation. And I wrote Tate matches up. What I like about him as a route runner is if he's not winning with like suddenness, he's winning with power and strength and sturdy frame. I also really like how he tempos his routes. Some guys tempo their routes because it's cute. Some guys tempo their routes with intention. He tempos with intention, okay? And by tempoing, I mean full speed, gear down, start off slow, then it just think about it. It can accentuate a cut when you're going in 3/4 speed, and then all of a sudden a DB's kind of like lulled to sleep with that speed as he's coming up, firing off the line of scrimmage with a free release. You're like, why isn't he going 100%? And you can kind of tell he's not going 100%, but then when he goes and breaks out of a route and accelerates, they're like, well, there it is. And now I'm a quarter count behind as a DB. So he does
the angle of the break too. The angle of the break. It's never drifting upfield where you give a chance for the defender to either jump in front of the route or to recover. It's always at a 90-degree angle or working back towards the quarterback. As a quarterback, you love that. You love that because he's not putting you in a bad spot. He's not making what should be a routine throw, a harder throw. The angle of that break at the top of his stem is also something that jumped out to me.
I went up to Cohasset Field the other day, right? because one of our children left a water bottle. Like, it's a daily occurrence. So I went up there, jumped out of the car, ran over, it's across the field. I saw three young men, 3 high school kids, right? Like practicing in the middle of the summer, hot on the field. And they're working on routes and getting open. There's a quarterback throwing to them. And I'm watching for like 2 minutes. And I was like, I can't help myself. So I went over and I spent 5 minutes with them, and it wasn't like rocket science but like you can run the post corner, come off the line with this angle. You can come off the line with this angle. You can run it straight at them. Every time you run the same route, run a different stem and tempo the route differently. I'm a quarterback by trait. And so this quarterback's going to rely, like, you need to be where you need to be, but how you get there doesn't matter to me. I'm not watching you. I need to know you're there. I don't need to know how you got there, but I want you to get there with as much separation as you can. So this guy has a good feel, Jordyn Tyson does, of those things.
There's a video, I think I've referenced it before. I watch it every time before I watch wide receivers. It's about 20 minutes. You can find it on YouTube, and it's just Davante Adams talking about his release and about his routes. I watch it every single time because and the thing that really stuck out, and again, I watched it again, the thing that stuck out to me this time was when I go to the line of scrimmage, I am not thinking to myself, I'm going to do this or that. I'm looking at what the defender is giving me. And if I need to get outside leverage and he's on my outside, then I know that I have to do A, B, or C. He is adjusting to what's happening. So he's running, like you're saying, his release and his route and the way he stems it, all of those things rely on the coverage and the alignment of the defender, even though he's getting to the same spot every single time. And to me, I love that video. It's fascinating to me. And it's a good reminder of, just how much he loves that position and how much he pays attention to the craft. And when you see a route runner like Tyson, this is a guy that gets it. He's not getting by on natural ability, which is good. It's good natural ability, but he likes the craft. And by the way, his receivers coach at Arizona State is Hines Ward. Steeler great.
I didn't know
Hines
that.
Ward. Yeah.
He was one of the great all-time, pack
talk
of
about
lunch.
A guy who's going to pay attention to detail, who's going to demand a lot out of you.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Ton of sense.
I like him after the catch. He's not slow, but he's not, I wouldn't classify him as a speedster. He's probably a 4.47, 4.48 40 guy. But he plucks, he transitions quickly. He makes one cut, makes that first defender miss. It's like, and he's the type who anticipates if he's got his back to the defensive back catching the football. A lot of the great receivers have that sense of where's he coming from? Is he angling from here? If so, I'm going to work back against his leverage, right? So he's big, he's strong, he's sturdy after the catch. He's tough to bring down. He'll drag some defenders at the end. Also physical, gave good effort as a blocker, all those things. But the drops were frustrating. Not as frustrating as Deandre Moore of Texas, but some of the easy stuff, some easy. I felt like he fights the ball a little bit. And is this something the jugs machine can cure a lot, but if he's working this hard at his routes and all the little things, why hasn't that caught up? So what it was 10.5 drop rate the last 3 years, improved slightly to 8.4, where he had 7 drops last year. But we need to see more improvement in that area.
I think he had 2 fumbles last year too, which makes me, now we're starting into the, how big are your hands, my man? I start to get it's just a part of the evaluation, but I do worry that he might have smaller hands, and that might be part of the issue.
I mentioned shades of Debo because of the thick frame, the physicality, right? Debo has better ball skills. I would argue that Jordyn Tyson, maybe even right now, is a better route runner.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool to see and say. Debo's more reliable hands, as I said. Bigger factor as a runner. I don't know if that's necessarily a fault of Tyson's, but both are good with the ball in their hands. But both excel after the catch. Both are highly physical route runners, contested catches, blockers.
Yeah, Tyson makes some. The grab that Tyson made against Arizona, he had the toe tap on the left sideline, and it was I mean, he makes some catches that'll, make you sit up a little bit, but it's the consistency of it all.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like we have a good feel on Tyson. Again, you have him, I think, graded a little. I give him an 89-90, right on the fringe of first round.
That's right where I had him too.
So my highest rated guy, Antonio Williams, I gave a 91. So
Okay.
again, like they're in a cluster for me at least. Do you mind, Steve, if we go back to Antonio Williams?
No, go for it, man. That's fine.
Right.
He's pretty good too.
I want to see if Antonio Williams takes his game to another level this year. I really do. He's an average size playmaker. Led the Tigers 75 catches, 904 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. Also averaged 9.7 on punt returns. Okay, I would give him a 1 as a route runner. Remember, everyone who's followed along, 1 on our position.
Maybe 1.5, but right there.
Okay, our position specific grades are 1 is excellent, 2 is above average, 3 is average, 4 is below average, 5 is marginal. Okay. So I give him a 1 as a route runner. I thought he was outstanding on all 3 levels. The stats matched up, 95th percentile in separation. I thought he was crisp off the line of scrimmage, tempos and stems his routes beautifully. I love the way he drops his weight.
And snaps his head too. Like it's one, like it's almost like a violent motion, like that head snap too of I'm not giving away anything with my upper body. And then I get there and boom, it's a violent motion that, I mean, if you're a defensive back, that is just tough. Good luck trying to stay with that.
I gave him a 2 ball skills.
The drops are misleading.
And I read that he's in the 20. Hey, folks, this is why stats are super helpful. And stats can lead you somewhere. But stats also can lead you somewhere and you realize that it's not accurate. And maybe that number and whoever's doing their job for PFF did their job. There are the drops existed, but they're not scouting evaluation drops, if you will. Do you know what I mean? Like not all drops are made equal.
They're different.
There's focus drops. There's balls that are off target that like in like bang bang moments. But for him, like, yeah, he had the 8 drops, but I was impressed by for the most part. I thought he showed a consistent ability to track the ball, adjust to the ball, pluck the ball away from his frame. Okay. I thought he's a hands catcher, not a body catcher. The biggest knock I had on him, the reason I wouldn't go 1, 2 reasons. One, there were some focus drops and some ones but I also think like part of the reason the number of drops is I don't think he has a huge catch radius. Comparatively, you know what I mean? I don't know.
He just doesn't. That's his frame.
Yeah, he's 5'11", 190. He's estimated 4.45, which I think is about right based off the tape. So I just think he's got NFL-like separation skills, intermediate possession weapon with some vertical ability, needs fewer drops and a little bit more yards after catch. I didn't see enough because he's shifty and he's quick and he's got speed. I didn't see enough after the catch from him. I don't know what the numbers are. I didn't look at the numbers, the after the catch numbers. I think it's a strength of his. I think that burst, he has a burst that can, if you're a defender and you come in and you try to break down and you try to play it safe, he will make you look like you're standing still. And he'll say, see you later. If you come in and you're over aggressive and you lunge, he'll run right out of that tackle too. I think his quickness, you see it as a route runner, but also with the ball in his hands. Again, I don't know what the numbers were production wise, but I feel like that's a strength. I think it can be. I just want to see more.
Fair.
I want to see more of it this year. I was done after Florida State with the
bounce when he caught it and bounced it off, and then you're talking
ball
about that.
Skills are an issue. I'm just saying, but I was done with the ball skills are an issue after Florida State. Like the Georgia game, I love the way he stemmed his route. It was like 327 first quarter.
He was good in that game for a
fluid,
team
intentional, sharp, clean off the line of scrimmage on that play. And I love if you have access to it, it's 327 first quarter. He drives the defensive back inside before breaking to the corner. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. I'm starting to see it. Subtle hand contact, right? To generate a little bit of separation. Then he tracks it beautifully over his shoulder. Okay. Then we get to Florida State, 3:30 first quarter. Go up and high point the ball that hung in the air. And he does it with toughness, right? So like not the big at 5'11", 190, but he's balls hanging in the air, right? Despite two Florida State DBs converging, remember in the middle of the field, he goes up, hangs on it, concentration, pulls it in, absorbs the hit, bounces off, scoots in for 6.
You got to have some balls to make that catch too, by the way. That's not there's a guy closing. Like, you got to have some balls to go up and get that, man.
I saw some other guys on this list that I don't know that they would have made that catch. Okay.
Interesting.
Later in the game, I didn't write down the time code, but he did a great job adjusting and high pointing the ball behind him, over his head. Big time catch. So that's when I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on the ball skills. All right. So we got Antonio Williams. We've got Jordyn Tyson. I'm high on Germie Bernard. You're not as high. He's 6'1", 210, ran a 4.5. He runs a 4.5 estimated. Spent his first 2 seasons at Washington. Obviously, the coaching change. Kalen DeBoer comes over, and he goes with them. Had just 4 catches as a freshman at Washington. Made a big jump in 2023 at UW, though. He had 34 catches, 419, 12.3. And you got to remember, that's a guy who.
Right. Who's he playing with?
Well, there are 3 wide receivers, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, and Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, we can excuse the and when we get to Boston, Denzel Boston later, it's the same thing. Like, not a lot of production early in career, obviously.
Right.
So that's his backdrop. Then he gets to Alabama last year. 50 catches, led the Tide with 50 catches. And the offense, obviously, quarterback, passing game was not up to the level. Average 16 yards per catch. I don't think he's a burner, but he's a tough receiver who I think has a knack for uncovering. Scouts I've talked to are really high on his I don't want to even say upside, but just think he's going to be a guy in the NFL. And I don't disagree. I think he's better. I think he's good versus single coverage, but I thought he was really good in zones, finding some, you know what I mean? Just like that. And I can see why after I talked to some scouts.
First note I had, he has a good understanding of how to attack zone looks.
Right. And like where to sit.
Yep.
How to help his quarterback. Right. Really reliable hands, man. Mm-hmm. Plucks it naturally. Tough catches over his head. Strong, reliable in traffic. Takes hits, holds on. Just 2 drops all of last season. And I was interested too. Like he's shifty and really heats it up after the catch.
He is. I don't think he's I do worry about the top of the route and how tight he is and whether or not he's really good with jab steps at the top of the route and whether or not I want to see more of those routes. I want to see more of the sharp breaking routes and how he gets in and out of it. He's got an NFL frame, but the lateral quickness, and you see this in certain routes. He put Malachi Starks, the Georgia safety, who just went first. He put him in an absolute blender because of how violently he moves laterally. And you see that after the catch. He's for 6'1", 209, he's a shifty dude after the catch. He's hard to get a clean hit on. He can make guys miss. I agree with you on that. I also say this. I felt like watching it, and I made a note of it. Jalen Milroe. I'm on record of saying I think he can develop into a player in the league. I think he can develop into a starter. But we've talked ad nauseum about how inaccurate he was last year. And it made it kind of tough to evaluate Bernard because it made it easy to evaluate how good he is at adjusting to passes outside his frame, which he's really good at. He's really good at adjusting to passes that don't hit him right in the chest. But it also affected it limited his opportunities to make plays after the catch. I think it limited his opportunities downfield. I'm hoping that this year you're going to get more of a cleaner evaluation of Bernard. Yeah,
I agree. And it'll be interesting to see the offense too. Ty Simpson, right?
Yeah.
Coming in.
So Bernard could easily move up. To me, it was, and again, they're all right there. But to me, I was like, I want to see more. I just want to see a little bit more.
Yep. Okay. Then moving on, we've got Antonio Williams, Germie Bernard, Jordyn Tyson. Let's get into it. You hate that. This is a This is a hill you don't want to die on, Mensch.
I know, man. Trust me.
Hating Ohio
Trust
State
me.
wide receivers is not.
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I really
What
want to
about
make that
Emeka
clear.
Ibuka?
I know, man. Do you think he's going to run as well as Emeka did?
What did Emeka run? Like a 4.48?
Yeah, 4.45, 4.48, I think.
No. In fact, the number one thing with Carnell Tate is apparently he ran like a 4.6 in high school or something. And some people think he like may have run a 4.7. But here's what I say in response to that. Ohio State picked him. He didn't pick Ohio. I mean, he did ultimately pick Ohio State. Ohio State picked him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Let me give you the good about him, okay?
Okay.
I think he is smooth and efficient in everything he does.
He's 6'3", 191, just FYI. Go ahead.
He's 6'3", 191. Last year he was playing with Ibuka and with Jeremiah Smith. I thought he had a really good playoff run. I thought he had some really good performances, some big time catches in the playoffs. He's fighting for targets in that offense. He is a productive, really good player. He's smooth and efficient in everything he does. We just talked about this with Bernard. He excels at finding and exploiting pockets and zone looks. He uncovers when the play starts to break down. He's not explosive, but he can stick his foot in the ground and make crisp cuts at the top of his routes. I love the way he separates. I love this thing about him, and I think this is I remember Joe Walsh used to talk about this, about the 49ers offense. Give me receivers to get north-south, man. Get north-south. I don't need all these moves. Get north-south. Get me yards after the catch. Get north-south. And Tate is excellent at it. And he can still make guys that miss. He'll make a defender miss here and there. He's not an ankle breaker, but he knifes upfield, and he's going to get you. He's always going to get you a little extra at the end. Catches the ball well. The thing I worry about is, have we topped out? Is he maybe topped out where he is? And that's a credit to where he is in terms of his development and how hard he's worked and the attention to detail he pays. But I don't see an elite natural talent. And when you're looking at how that's going to translate to the NFL, I think he could be a very good player. I'm just not sure he's going to be a first round kind of player.
Yeah, I mean, you said the same thing about Emeka.
I did,
and I'll be quite honest. I'm not.
You can't let it go.
I was much more confident about Emeka, but also what I compared it to like dating eventually your friend who you become romantic with. Like and I just wonder over time if we'll get romantic with Tate. And maybe I'm a little bit more romantic with him now because I see what translates. I see how important, and I understand how important reliability is.
He's reliable. Yep.
Awesome versus zone. Knows where to be. Understands leverage. Understands stems. Getting in and out of breaks. Understands the importance of catching the ball in traffic and being a tough guy. Goes over the middle. Does a lot of the dirty work. Big 6'3" frame. Good catching radius. Okay. Finds the soft spots in zones. Strong, confident hands. Only 3 drops last season. 5.4 drop rate. Okay. Great effort as a stock blocker, man.
Great effort all around. Everything he does is effort.
Everything he does. And so I can count on this guy. So now, and coached extremely well as a blocker. Holy smokes, man. Like position, balance, moving his feet, seal him off, but then when to punch, sustaining, like high level blocking for a college wide receiver. I'm curious though. Is he a 4.65?
Right.
Or is he like a 4.5?
By the way, if people start, that will be flipping the script for me at that point, because if people will come back and tell me he's a 4.64 or 4.65 and say that he can't play in the league, I'm going to be like, that's bullshit, because just watch the tape. This kid can play. I mean, I'm talking about, I gave him an 85, I think, or an 86. That's what I'm talking about with this player. I'm just not seeing an elite. I don't think he's going to be wide receiver one.
Okay. This is funny. I've got an 84 grade on him.
Yeah. Okay, good. Right.
So we're like, maybe I ranked him a little bit ahead of one or two other guys for you, but he's a second rounder right now. Could fall if he really truly is a 4.65. Something tells me he just wouldn't run if that's the case. But also it could elevate if he continues to elevate his game and if he surprises people and runs better than. Before we move off of Tate, there was an awesome 2-play sequence. So, like when you're watching tape and you're stacking receivers or whatever position, and it's not redundant, but like when something jumps out like within the framework of a game, it's really cool to share. Against IU, against Indiana, okay? There was this really cool 2-play sequence. It was 119 in the first quarter. It was a 3rd and 35, okay? Initial play breaks down. Will Howard scrambles around. He works back to his quarterback on a scramble rules, which, again, these Ohio State receivers, they've been coached like brilliantly.
And don't give up. If you give up, you're off the field, man. You better work your ass off. Yeah.
We got the next 5-star.
Yeah, right. Don't get comfortable, man.
And so he works. He actually finds a soft spot vertically. A lot of times guys come back. He works over the top of the defense, finds this little soft area over towards the right sideline. If you're
right sideline,
sideline, okay. Tough over the head catch, 3rd and 35, picks up 25 and gives Ohio State options on 4th and 10. And now not just 4th and 10, but it's at like the 35-yard line. So it's not clear field goal. You're in no man's land. So what do? Let's go. All right. 4th and 10, very next play, he uncovers along the left sideline, makes an easy catch, right? But then he's got the first down on the catch, but then makes the first defender miss, rumbles for another 8 yards after the catch, gains about 18. In that 2-play sequence, it's 43 yards. You're looking at 3rd and 35, and he provides 43 yards. It was awesome.
And this is the guy who's supposed to be their 3rd best receiver. I remember saying that last year. We talk about the other 2 guys. I'm like, don't forget about Tate, man. Like, that's what's great about that Ohio State offense. You have to worry about those backs and Smith and Egbuka. And then you got this guy, Tate, who can just make plays if you take everything else away.
All right. I want to get to Denzel Boston because I did his full tape, and I want to get to Deandre Moore from Texas because I finished up his this morning.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. I told you, and then I was going to let you handle him. But I just couldn't help myself.
There you go.
So Denzel Boston, Washington receiver, 6'4", 210. Really intriguing frame, right? Estimated 4.52. So like good enough speed for his size, not a burner. He's entering now his 4th year at UW. He combined for just 7 catches his first 2 seasons, 2022, 2023. Play back the tape. We got Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. But in 2024, those guys move on. He has a breakout year. Second on the team with 63 catches, 834 yards, a 13.2 average, and 9 touchdowns. And I'm excited to see this year. Like, can he this is the step up year because last year's leading receiver, Giles Jackson, is gone. And so now it's his receiver room. And so it's his 2nd year as a full-time starter, his receiver room.
Who's the quarterback?
Damon Williams.
Who played really well.
Really well. More of a runner at this point than like pure passer. But I told you at Manning Passing Academy, he stood out. Like he really well, athletic, big arm. He might not have as many catches. What he had 63, I said last year. Maybe he does. But my guess is he's going to have some bigger play opportunities. So that's that. I thought versus man coverage, one-on-one, he was really, really good. I thought he was okay, solid, like the zone stuff. Caught the ball extremely well. 3 drops last year. That's it. 4.5%. He was up there like, I don't know, high 80 percentile. Whatever it was. Big, strong receiver, uses quick feet and physicality, that combination. Not a burner. He's not going to get guys backed off and worried, but it's this quick feet at the top of the stem with a little, to get separation. I didn't see much as a vertical guy, not huge after the catch, but drags defenders, generates extra yards with his strength. But my goodness, he's just reliable as a route runner, catching the football. He's excellent, not good, excellent on contested catches, knows how to body guys, strong frame, strong hands. I just kept writing the same notes: big, physical, tightly packed, sturdy, not explosive, not fast, but good contested, strong in traffic, reliable hands. It's all the same notes, you know? Go ahead.
For me, I thought he had more juice, man. I mean, the Utah game was eye-opening for me. He basically sat right over, right in front of the quarterback, sat down the window, caught a 3-yard pass and turned into a 51-yard touchdown. And granted, he got a block downfield, but man, he was still moving. I don't know how he is about, I don't think he's an elite burner, but this guy's got, for a 6'4" dude, he's got some juice.
That's what I'm saying. It's good speed for his size, but I don't want to we're not in like DK or AJ Brown territory or like,
gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
I just don't want to, because a lot of people who are watching or listening right now, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, this might be the first, and it's Washington. I don't know how many how many exposures our audience has to him. He's not right. Like Nick Harbor from South Carolina has got some of those traits. We'll get to him in a little bit, but this guy he's got good speed, but he's not like quite at that level. But yes, I thought you would really like this guy. You know why?
Because I do really like this guy.
I see some shades of Pat Bryant.
Yes.
He compared Pat Bryant to Michael Thomas.
He's got some T. Higgins, I think, in him. I think he's got some T. Higgins in him. Like this is one of two for me that I was blown away with. And I was like, wow, I had not watched a lot of Denzel Boston. I thought it might be David Boston's kid, by the way. Remember the old yoked up? No, I couldn't find, it might be, I couldn't find anything that says that he was.
That's a positive for him if he's not.
So anyways, I had not watched a lot of him. I'll be honest, you didn't watch a lot of Washington's offense last year, and I'm watching this guy on tape, and I was blown away. I think he's got a chance with that frame. I mean, he's running whip routes, and whip routes, if people don't know what those are, that's where you start over the middle and then you sink and explode back out while you're facing the quarterback. It's the route that Julian Edelman ran in the Atlanta Super Bowl, where they say he pushed off, but it's that kind of quick route. Those are for like Julian Edelman receivers. You don't run that with 6'4" dudes. And then he ran another goal line fade where he worked inside and then worked back outside. I couldn't believe how well he sank his hips for a 6'4" dude. Now he's never going to be that super explosive route runner. I'm not saying that, but he has a skill set for a frame that big that I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. I was really happy to get to see him because I had not seen him before. Just another player to get excited about.
Yeah, I give him an 82 grade, but like recognize that a second year full-time starter.
Yeah,
it wouldn't shock me if we were talking late first for this guy when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
And this is kind of where I feel like we don't have a Jeremiah Smith, we don't have a Ryan Williams, we don't have a Wingo, we don't have
right.
But we got a lot of really good players.
I know how you already felt. I know how you felt about him last year. So I'll say there's no Tate McMillan in this class either. And do you think there's a Matthew Golden? We didn't think there was a Matthew Golden at this time last year either.
I think Antonio Williams, I don't know that he's quite that speed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Good receivers. I'm not sure there's any elites.
So it was Travis Hunter, obviously. We kind of whether DB.
I always forget about the unicorn. Yeah,
Hunter went 2 to the Jaguars. Tate went 8 to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Emeka was the 3rd wide receiver. I'm not going to look down. Was it Tampa Bay at 15, 18?
I thought it was a little
19,
later than
19.
Yeah.
And then Golden was 24.
That makes sense.
Houston,
Washington, or Houston?
Texans.
It was Houston. Sorry. Yeah.
No. It was the Packers. What am I thinking? Jeez. How quickly we forget.
Yeah, man. It's July.
The Texans took the 2 Iowa State guys. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Higgins, who was the 2nd pick of the 2nd round. I think it was 34 overall. All right. So speaking of Golden, let's do Texas's receiver, Deandre Moore. Interesting. He's an interesting cat, like limited on special teams as a freshman, 2023. Last year with Matthew Golden, Gunnar Helm, Isaiah Bond, who was up and down, more down than up. They're all gone though. And he still was third on the team with only 39 catches, 456 yards, 11.7 and 7 touchdowns. I think he's a slot receiver for me. And that's what he was for Coach Sark last year. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have inside out potential. He's 6 foot, 195, estimated like 4.44, something like mid 4.4s. Okay. Positives, what jumped out: sharp, sudden off the line of scrimmage, uncovers quickly, reaches top gear quickly. I watched him run past the Mississippi State DB. I was like, oh, great. Show me someone good. Then he did it to Florida's DB.
Yes.
Then he kept, you know what I mean?
And then you're like, dude, he's running by a lot of guys all of a sudden.
Yeah, maybe it's not a Mississippi State safety from the slot. Maybe it's now a Florida corner. It's, and so I got to see like the true on-field speed. I think he's really agile, light on his feet. He's got that suddenness you look for. Really good acceleration out of his breaks. Which is critical to me in terms of separating in the NFL and college alike. At his best versus single coverage. I don't think he's savvy enough yet in terms of like zone understanding. He's just, I'm faster than you. I'm more agile than you. I'm a better athlete than you. They're going to hide me in the slot. If you want to move your perimeter corner inside here, then you got to cover Matthew Golden or somebody out there. So I'm probably going to get a nickel. Occasionally, I'm going to get a free, right? And so I'm just like mano a mano, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see now that he is the guy, or is projected to be and should be the guy, if not one of the top 2 guys. Is it just from the slot? Can he do it on the outside versus perimeter corners? But the tape doesn't lie that he's got the agility, the quickness, the suddenness, the acceleration, both out of cuts and off the line of scrimmage.
I agree with you. Even though, listen, he ran primarily go routes and crossing routes. He did. But every time he got a chance, I mean, it was, you saw it. This kid has a chance. In terms of his upside as a route runner, it is high.
You know what else I fell in love with this cat?
What's that?
Mississippi State, 12 minutes, 19 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. I actually didn't look up the score, but I'm guessing it wasn't that close. His effort as a blocker was like, clip that off. Like if I was back at ESPN, it's clip that off, send it to one of our guys who handled all of our tape beautifully. And hold on to this for next year. I don't care if it's from 3 years ago. This is the stuff. He gets so picture it. You're the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, right? You're going to hand off the ball to whoever the back was. He's coming in from the left slot, and he's got a seal up. We call it crack back, seal up, whatever it is. He's sealing off the I think it was the nickel, maybe it was a linebacker. Gets in, doesn't get it clean, but gets his block, and then kind of gets help from the offensive line as they're just down blocking and erasing that side of the. So then he's not done. We've watched wide receivers for 25 years. As Brewski used to say, with edge rushers, like, do they set a hard edge, or is he just getting there like, hey, coach, take a Polaroid, take a picture. So I set the edge. So they're like, you got evidence that you did it. A lot of receivers just want evidence that they did their job. This motherfucker peels off the linebacker, races downfield head on swivel, gets a little shove in here, and then the running back makes a cut back to the outside. I counted 41 yards downfield, Muench. He's now gets into the body of the pads of a defensive back and rides him all the way up to the sideline. It was awesome.
Impressive. Yeah.
6 foot, 195, and he's out there just mauling dudes and like grinding. I loved it. But I think we're burying the lead on Deandre more.
Yeah.
He's a body catcher. That's the first note I put in, body catcher. Is this a problem? Too many drops. 11.1 percentage last year. 15th percentile. Fights it on tape. Stats actually do match up here, which I wrote is not may not always be the case. He had the 2 drops in Florida were just bad, man. I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is that it was you could tell it was a sunny day. I mean, it was a sunny day, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's looking back because they were both kind of downfield, and he had to look back. And I thought maybe it was
the first one was with the 8:40 left in the second quarter. Bad drop, deep ball, looks up. Yes, it was bright. There was sun. There was all that.
But he's not looking back at the sun. When you look at the shadow, he's looking away from the sun. Yeah,
and you know what he is doing? He's trying to pull it in with his body.
Basket it, yeah.
And I made notes before in the Mississippi State tape earlier on when I was like, great job. He tracked the touchdown from the left slot and down the left rail, tracked it really well, but there was still kind of like this hesitancy. And then I wrote in other places, fighting the ball a little bit. It was almost like, is it coming? I feel like it's going to come. And all of a sudden Florida happened. And I'm like, here it is. They are. Body catchers, almost all of them, not all, but almost all. And they're guys who fight the ball. They're not confident. They're just not like, so that was that drop. And then the next one was the same quarter against Florida, 48 seconds remaining, back right of the end zone. And he's got wide open. His speed's getting him wide open. Ball's on him, and it's bobble, catch, but he's now out of bounds. Yeah, so.
And then the Clemson game, he had one pop off his hands that got picked and taken the other way.
Yep.
I mean, there was. I thought there was times he could attack it with his hands, but it was just way. It was not frequent. It was rare. He doesn't look like he's comfortable or confident. I would agree with you on that. And there's other times too where he would make he has a body control thing where he can go up and contest a situation and make an adjustment and get into the right spot, and then he can't finish. It's close, and hopefully it's something he can improve on and get the jugs machine, get more confidence.
This is why we do this. Let's get a foundation. Who is the guy now? Where can he improve?
Right.
So I'm pumped. I want to see the season.
Yeah.
I want to see what he does at Texas with Arch Manning.
He was the second guy, by the way. He was the second guy I watched, and I was like, oh, okay. This guy, the way he gets off the line and the way he runs. Okay, all right. This kid's got a chance to be really good. So we're gonna see, and all eyes are on Texas this year, and Arch throwing him the ball. I'm excited to see it because you got to expect improvement, and he's got the right resources, and everyone's working with him to get better in that area. And if he does, he's got potential, man. All right. So that's that. I want you to, I know you did the USC guys, take this where, so remaining on the list of guys I just want to touch on. We don't have to go super deep. We've already gone 54 minutes and we are in July, but Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane from USC. Then I got some quick stuff on Singleton and Eric Singleton from Auburn and Nick Harbor from South Carolina. And then a little bit on Elijah Surratt, but let's kind of this. I'll go. You want me to go Lemon quick?
Quick?
Go. Slot receiver, catches everything. I mean, he is a guy who's very comfortable with passes thrown outside his frame. He's tough over the middle, he'll absorb contact, take hits. He is quick after the catch. He runs hard. He can make guys miss. Outstanding in the return game, averaged 27 yards per kickoff return last year. When you watch him too, it's not just the speed and making guys miss thing. Very instinctive, knows how to set up his blocks. He's a natural kind of a kickoff returner. I do worry he's a little tighter than I would prefer in a slot receiver. I think he's tough and he's strong, but he's a little bit tighter when you give him a two-way go. I think he's going to be a really good player as a number 4, number 3 receiver, but I wasn't blown away.
Yeah, 52 catches, averaged almost 15 yards a catch last year. Also averaged 27 yards per kickoff return. His special trait is ball in his hands. Right?
Yes, that's when he's at his best.
Speaking of which, Eric Singleton, I'm really interested to see this guy at Auburn this year. Okay. 5'10", 180 pounds. Dude, he's estimated to run like a 4.25, 4.28. We'll see.
That's good, right?
He's a state champion in the 100, 200, and 400 meter in track and field. Georgia Tech for 2 seasons. Obviously transferred this year, going to Auburn. But he led Georgia Tech last year with 754 receiving yards, 56 catches, averaged 13.5, only 3 touchdowns. Also was productive as a freshman in 23 at 48 catches, 714, averaged up 15 yards a catch with 6 touchdowns. Known as one of Eric Singleton, known as one of the fastest players in all of college football. Okay. Pint-sized. He's a slot receiver, just like you talked about Mekhi Lemon, but he's 5'10", 180. Lemon's like 5'11", 190. Separates with quickness and speed, but I want to see from, and again, I didn't dive in as deep as the top 6-7 guys, but from what I'm seeing, I want to see more refinement. Relies on speed, quickness, the offensive system. I want to see more refinement this year. Solid hands, not great, but 6.1%, 61st percentile, not a huge catch radius. But I'm really intrigued to see him in that offense with Auburn trying to turn things around this year.
Yeah,
where do you want
too.
to go next?
Do you want to just go ahead as long as we're talking about our speed demons right now? You want to jump into Nick Harbor because he is. Yeah, this guy.
Harbor's interesting, man. He, like I mentioned, the obvious comp is DK.
Yeah,
6'4", 230. Estimated 4.38 40.
Dude, he ran a 10-1-100. He could run in the 4.2s. He could if he could run in the 4.2s. I know what the estimation is, and I'd be interested to see what the stats are or what the numbers are.
10-1-100. I had that. Yep.
Yeah, he could run in the 4.2s at 235.
And with that frame and that speed, you don't have to be an overly refined route. Remember AJ Brown and DK Metcalf? They were at 9 routes, bud. They were at, I'm gonna run a 9 route, and it worked. And part of the knock on those guys are like, can they get in and out of breaks, all that stuff? Well, like, maybe it's not the most important thing in the world when you got those traits. Runs mostly deeper routes. Harbor does. So, like, he's a physical phenom. He's different. You see him on tape, he takes off, and it's like, whoa, what is going on? How is that giraffe faster and more agile than all these other guys who are 5'11", 6 foot? He averaged 14.5. He was second on the team with 376 receiving yards last year. And what's interesting for me with Nick Harbor is his drop rate, like when you looked on PFF, was good. He only had 1 drop. The thing, like, I saw so many times him fighting, like trouble adjusting, tracking the ball. So I don't know what we're calling a drop, but like there was some awkward stuff on the tape.
He doesn't look natural at the position yet. He played tight end in high school. Yep. I don't think he looks natural in space yet. I think it's still coming together for him. Very, very well put. He does not look natural in space. And I did a lot of my work on him because we watched like 235 clips of Lenore Sellers, so I had an eye on this guy the whole time. It's obviously a huge year for Harbor. He's the only guy who's ranked first on Feldman's freak list twice. I mean, this is how this guy is. He's different. He's unique. But again, you're betting on the traits.
Think about it. He's the offensive version of what Nick Emmanwori was last year for South Carolina as well.
Although I would say he's not even as polished as Emmanwori was. But
totally agree. But one last nugget of positivity. Because we are in July. And everyone's getting excited about college football, and he could have a monster breakout year, and I'm hoping.
Would love to see it.
He had 19 catches for 325 yards and 3 touchdowns in his final 8 games last year. He got better and better. So this is a guy who's learning on the fly, still developing. They played 13 games last year. The final 8, his production. So 19 of the 26 catches, so he kept getting better. All right. So next on our list would be Jacoby Lane for USC.
Yep. Big target, wide catching radius, athletic. He had 12 touchdowns last year, which was second in the Big Ten, I think. He is a tough one-on-one matchup in the red zone because of his ability to come down with 50-50 balls, the radius, the body control. He has strong hands, all of those things. He has a touchdown catch against Maryland where it's a one-handed, left-handed catch. I don't know if he's left-handed or right-handed, but I always make a note of it when it's left-handed. One-handed, left-handed catch, and he's getting ripped to the ground. I mean, it's silly. Some of the catches that he makes are, jaw-dropping. On the flip side, he was a late bloomer in high school. I tried to see if there was an injury. I didn't really play until his senior year. And then last year, I think it was a low number of targets, 11 times. Last year, he was targeted a total of 11 times. He feels like he's a kid that needs more reps, and you see this when you watch his route running. He's a long-legged, long-strider guy when he gets to the top of that route. And if he really opens up that gate, it's hard for him to sink at that point and change directions and work back to the ball. It's these are things that he's going to have to work on slowing down a little bit almost. He's speeding everything up, and it's putting him in a tough position in terms of changing directions and really kind of tipping where he's going on those things. One of the things that ended on a positive, I will say for him that I really like is he's a good pluck and go guy for a taller guy. And what I mean by that is he can square to the quarterback when he gets into a window, provide that quarterback with a good target. And then when he catches it and he plucks it, he is upfield immediately. For a bigger guy, he's got a little bit of a acceleration.
Transition quickness.
Right, transition
which
quickness.
Is really important, man.
Yeah, there's some things to build on for him. He's actually talent-wise and tool-wise, he's an exciting player to watch. But he's not there yet. And I think he needs more reps. I think he needs more targets. It'll be interesting to see if he's a guy who comes out this year or maybe waits another year. But there's some things that are really interesting and cool about him.
All right, last guy, Elijah Surratt, Indiana. 6'2", 210, not a burner. Big physical receiver. Does a really good job of bodying defensive backs, strong in traffic. Really good, reliable hands. All those Indiana wide receivers, man, they just caught the freaking football. Not sudden, not fast, but I think it's like we'll call it a number 4 receiver in the NFL. There's room for him, and I'm excited. He 53 catches, 987, 8 touchdowns last year. Now we got and listen, I'm not saying Curtis Rourke was any slouch by any stretch. But now Fernando Mendoza comes in. I think this offense is going to open up a little bit. I'm excited to see what that translates for Surratt in Indiana this year.
Yeah, those traits make him a great fit for that system because of all the RPO and his ability to just get leverage early and make plays in traffic and the toughness and all of that. And I think it fits for some teams in the NFL. Like San Francisco is a team that I think that Surratt would be a good fit as a number 4, a little bit farther down the depth chart. I like him.
Enjoy the beaches, enjoy the mountains, enjoy the lakes, enjoy the oceans, enjoy some barbecue. Definitely enjoy your friends and family. It's that time of year. We appreciate you being here and watching, and we'll be back in next week with some more stuff. And we're getting closer, Muench. We're getting closer. I could kind of start smelling like the grass a little bit. We're getting closer to college football, and we're excited for it, but we're also excited to enjoy the rest of our summer. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.